Hey everybody, ABC10 Meteorologist Brenden Mincheff. We're going to talk a little bit about the July that we just had, especially how much nicer it was compared to July of last year. Then we're going to look ahead into the first week or two of August, because it does look like August is going to start off on the warmer side, not necessarily that much above average, nothing extreme, but certainly warmer than where we've been for much of the month that we just had. Especially the second half of July was very nice. Lots of 80s, some low 90s, even some low 80s in there. It was the coolest July since 2001 for Sacramento, with 20 of 31 days below normal and just one triple-digit day. That was on July 11th when we made it to 102 degrees. That 102 actually tied for hottest temperature we've had so far this year, tied May 30th and May 31st. But let's look back at July 2024 as well, because that was historically hot. As much as this one was cool, 2024 was hot. The average observed high temperature in July 2024 was 98.5 degrees. That's almost a whole 6 degrees above the normal July average high temperature. When we look at the morning temperatures last July, 63.5 degrees, also much above normal for morning temperatures, 4 degrees warmer than our average low temperature. And like I'd said, we only hit triple digits one time this year, but last July, 16 triple-digit days, and we averaged just 5 of those. So again, no matter how you look at 2024, it was hot in the afternoon, in the morning, and by the extreme heat, no matter how you measure it. But July 2025, the average high temperature, 89.4 degrees. That's 3 degrees cooler than the normal average high temperature. In terms of morning temps, 57.6 degrees. That was a couple degrees below the average morning low temperature, and we only had one triple-digit day. So not only was it cooler than normal, it was way cooler than last July. I just can't really get over that stat, right? Because July has just been, or was, I guess now it's over, right? July was just so good to us. And as we look back over 2025 to date, the high temperature departure, everything in red, and the bigger the red bars, the more extreme heat, how much above average it was. But the bigger the blue bar, the more below average things were. And so we're starting over here again, 2025 to date, so July 1st, and January 1st, and look at January, right? Basically the whole month was above normal in terms of temperature, and we really didn't have any rain, and normally those rainy days are cooler. So January was a stretch of above normal temperatures. Then the first few days of February into mid-February, we did have some below normal temps. Then late February into March, it was warm. Late March was quite warm. Much of April was above normal. Most of May into June was above normal as well. And here you see May 30th and 31st, that's when we hit 102 degrees. That was about 20 degrees warmer than normal for late May. But then we start getting into later June, right? The second half of June wasn't so bad at all. You see some below average days there. The last few days of June and the first few days of July were fairly warm, but then there's the second half. It's very obvious where July 15th through 31st was, because it was our longest stretch of below normal temperatures so far this year. And by the way, here's the other day that we made it to 102 degrees, July 11th. It's a lot more common, still about 10 degrees warmer than normal, but still it's a lot closer to normal to see those triple-digit days in July than it is to see them in late May. All right, one more stat, and then I promise we'll look at August. This one's out in San Francisco, however. For San Francisco, July 2025 was the 8th wettest July on record, with records going all the way back to 1849 in downtown. It was not that much rain, 0.08 of an inch, and yet it was the 8th wettest July on record. If you're curious, the wettest July, that was in 1974 with almost 3/4 of an inch of rain in San Francisco. The average July rainfall in SF is just 1/100th of an inch of rain. In Sacramento, the average July rainfall is 0. And that's exactly what we saw, or I suppose didn't see, right, this past July. Didn't measure a single drop in the bucket. All right, let's look ahead. I promised we'd do that. Here we go. Saturday afternoon for August 2nd, warm and sunny. We're going to be in the mid to upper 90s on Saturday. And in the upper valley, upper 90s to low hundreds. It is going to be warmer in the upper valley. 80s and 90s in the foothills, near 80 up in the high country. For Sunday, slightly milder. I don't want to say slightly cooler per se, because we're still talking low to mid 90s for most of the valley. We'll just go slightly milder. 91 Sacramento on Sunday, 90 in Stockton, 92 Modesto, 98 up in Colusa, 80s and 90s in the foothills, and upper 70s to near 80 degrees in the Sierra. We've had some thunderstorms the last few days, especially in the northern part of the state. But we're going to start to see those winding down as high pressure begins to build in and that moisture flow starts to be cut off. So Saturday morning, maybe a few clouds through the delta. But notice Saturday afternoon, hardly anything. Whatever we do see is likely to be up in Siskiyou County, the northern part of the state, and even north of Mount Shasta. Really nothing in the Tahoe Basin. And it'll be a very similar setup for Sunday afternoon, where whatever we see is likely to be north of Shasta, closer to Oregon, and we really don't see anything in the central Sierra. Again, this is thanks to high pressure starting to move in, cutting off that flow of moisture. A little low pressure system passing just to the north Sunday and Monday is going to bring our temperatures down, not really any rain, but temperatures down. Once that moves out, high pressure builds in from both the east and the west. So we're going to get this ridge setting up across the western part of the U.S., and that means temperatures are going to be climbing, not just for the coming week, but likely the second week of August as well. Likely warmer temperatures across the southwest and the west coast, and very likely warmer than average across New England. And that means temperatures are likely here in Sacramento and much of Northern California going to be in the mid to upper 90s as we go into the first week and two of August. 95 on Saturday, 91 on Sunday, 90 on Monday. That's that brief dip as that low pressure passes to our north, but then you see temperatures climb into the mid to upper 90s for the second half of the work week. That's likely going to be the peak of the heat Wednesday through Friday. We're going to be very close to the triple-digit mark in Sacramento. Other parts of the valley are likely to hit the century mark once again by the time we get to the second half of the coming work week. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching.